Hi, and welcome back to Mingus on Tech. I'm Ken Mingus, Executive Editor at Computer World. I'm here with Lucas Mirian, Senior Writer at Computer World. Apple recently announced a big push into connecting patients and data with a new, an app on iOS 11.3 that's coming up. So I'm going to talk to Lucas about it and find out what's going on. Stick around. Okay, and we're back. Lucas, so I wanted to find out, you've written a couple stories about this, and it seems interesting because I think connecting patients and healthcare data seems to have been like the holy grail that various government agencies and hospitals and healthcare facilities and tech companies have been trying to figure out how to pull it all together for years. And Apple recently announced, I think it was late January, that with their upcoming iOS 11.3 update to the mobile operating system, they're going to allow patients to be able to access healthcare data on their devices, their phone, maybe the iPad. And I just kind of wanted to find out, if we have any sense really what Apple's doing here, and whether we think this time Apple might actually be able to accomplish something that others in the past have not been able to accomplish.
Yeah, and I think more so than whether it'll be successful or not, no one can say, but I think they'll have more success with it than past efforts, when there have been many, for several reasons. Number one, past efforts were focused mainly on patients populating the healthcare data, so putting in their own blood pressure, let's say temperature, if they got information from their doctors, to resubmit that into a personal health record, a PHR, versus electronic health record that might be kept by a hospital or some other healthcare agency that's required to have them, that can be shared across multiple platforms and hospitals, for example. So you had PHRs, you had them from Microsoft Health Vault, you had Google's Health Service, WebMD's No More Clipboard, Allscripts Follow My Health, and a myriad of others. There were several problems. Number one, many of them did require the patient populate the data in those. And the other thing was there was no interoperability. That's
like the holy grail, because you've got so many systems using so many different platforms that nobody can, none of these records is able to communicate with any of the other systems.
Exactly. They're all using proprietary specifications to communicate, and so exchanging that data is very difficult. So along with the fact that you have this possible mass market adoption because Apple is so ubiquitous, you also have new standards. You have relatively new standards, a few years old, the Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources Interface, which was put out a few years ago and has been adopted by most of the major EHRs out there. So they can exchange the data now. So what Apple's new health record app is doing, it's based on the existing health app that was launched in 2014, you might remember.
Yep.
Okay, connected you to your Apple Watch.
I use it all the time.
And other things.
Yep.
So this is an addendum to that will allow patients to access the EMRs using this interface. And they're going to be beta testing it this year with some of the largest hospitals in the nation. Yeah,
I've got a list of some of those that I wanted to read off. I wanted to take a step back and try to explain that the reason for this is that if you can make healthcare records universally available, the idea is that you can improve health. You can improve people's health because all of their doctors can all talk to each other about what any patient is facing or dealing with, or medical issues or health concerns. You have information about yourself that you can share with doctors and hospitals. And so it's a way of tying together all of these records that in the past would be stuffed in some file somewhere in this doctor's office and that doctor's office and over here and at the hospital. And you pull all that together, you can better enable doctors to take care of patients and better enable patients to take care of themselves.
Absolutely. Right? And to be able to track, let's say somebody has a long-term or congenital illness, heart failure, for example, or diabetes, they can track you when you're not in the office. You can input data that can be tracked by your primary healthcare provider.
Well, it's interesting too. There's, in fact, Apple has a sort of a research operation going on right now related to, I think it's AFib, and you can opt in, and it basically checks, if you've got an Apple Watch, it's checking your heart rate and can even alert you if it notices something is wrong, in addition to providing research information that's going directly to Apple.
Right.
So, I mean, Apple's very clearly making a push into healthcare. Just to list some of the hospitals that are going to be taking part of this, we've got Johns Hopkins, you've got Cedars-Sinai, Penn Medicine, UNC Healthcare, UNC Chapel Hill, go Heels. I went to Carolina, sorry. Ohio Health, Cerner Health Clinic. So, I mean, these are some big operations, and this is just an early test. It's just in the U.S., right?
Yeah, but I think that is actually indicative of just how important this is, because you have some of the largest, most cutting-edge healthcare facilities who are partaking in this exercise to see how well this works, and the security too, because that's a big issue. Obviously, healthcare.
You mean like privacy, security,
privacy?
Of data.
Yeah, exactly, because it's the most sensitive data that you can possibly expose. Financial data is sensitive, but once you change your bank account number or your credit card number, it's secure again.
Right.
Once your healthcare data is out there, that's it. It's out there for life. Let's say that you have an embarrassing disease. That's out there for life once it's been released.
So it's something that
you can't put it back in the bottle.
Well, I know that one of the things, I think you had spoken to John Halamka with one of the stories that you did, and he made the point that Apple's not really keeping this information. It is stored in the secure enclave on your device, and it's only accessible by biometrics, either Touch ID or Face ID if you've got the new iPhone 10.
Right.
So therefore, theoretically, this should provide a secure way for people to, again, they can have their own data and share it with only the doctors or the hospitals that they choose.
Right, exactly. There's still some holes to be filled, and I don't know that you'll ever make it completely secure. For example, if you do a screenshot of your EMR or your EHR and you decide to email that to somebody, well, now it's not secure anymore. Or if you decide to open it up, well, I don't know, you're in an internet cafe and you're using a Wi-Fi connection, could be
like a man-in-the-middle attack might be able to somehow steal the data.
Exactly. So you're going to be responsible for the security of that data as well. But as far as a platform goes, the technology has come so far that being able to crack an iPhone is basically
the FBI
impossible.
Can't do it. They're having
San Bernardino shooters.
Right.
They could not get the data from Apple. Or off that phone from Apple.
Right. So and you do make a good point, because Apple has such a large number of users, and whenever it rolls out an update to the operating system, we've had this debate about iOS versus Android, but as Apple rolls out these updates, you get a large number of iOS users who are on the latest operating system very quickly.
Right.
So for users of iOS 11.3, when it comes out a little later this year, if they're tied into these healthcare systems that are part of the beta launch, they can start testing this out right away. Yeah,
exactly. And to be fair, Google devices, because of the fast healthcare interoperability resources interface, they could launch something themselves, because there's better interoperability between these systems now than there was. But you and I know, because of fragmentation, it would be harder to get these updates out there, or take longer.
Right. Well, and then the point here, though, is that with those standardizations, it shouldn't matter what device you have. I mean, this is not like an Apple proprietary thing where right now it is, because it's a beta test on iOS 11.3. But the idea is that whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever device you own, you will have some way to access your healthcare data, and your patients will have, your doctors will have some way to access their patients' information in real time.
Right. And it's based on the Health app, which is already, as we discussed earlier, been out for 4 years, and it's very popular, and it functions very well. So this is an addendum to that. And it really does give you a fairly extensive health record to work with. I mean, your vital signs, any radiological images, your latest prescriptions, that sort of thing. And you can order the prescriptions through this just like any EMR.
Well, isn't this also, you've done a lot of writing in the past about telemedicine and the ability to connect patients and doctors using your, some sort of video or FaceTime or something, so that you can almost go to the doctor without leaving your home and get a checkup, get your vital signs read, get advice on what you should be doing, talk to your doctor about telemedicine, and do all of that without having to go into an office, which I can imagine for older people, especially who may not drive, may not have somebody to take them to the doctor. It's a way, again, the whole point is to improve healthcare outcomes in general.
Yeah, create an efficiency in doing that. And that definitely does. I mean, you think about today, people say, well, I haven't used telemedicine. Oh, yeah? Have you ever emailed your doctor? Telemedicine. Have you ever messaged your healthcare system? Telemedicine. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be video conferencing with your physician, although that is offered by many healthcare systems today. But you're going to be able to communicate with your healthcare provider in ways you've never been able to before. And it's going to create great efficiencies. For example, if I need to update my prescriptions or order new prescriptions, I can do that online with a single message now. I don't have to call. I don't have to go in. My primary healthcare provider is connected to my insurance provider. And all I have to do is ask my insurance provider to check with my primary healthcare physician for an update. The healthcare physician gets a message and gives it a thumbs up. Boom, I have a new prescription.
It's done. Is this something that would replace or maybe augment the patient portals that everybody may be familiar with now? I mean, I have a patient portal that connects me to my GP.
Yes. Yes, and absolutely, but in a more far-reaching way. Patient portals are great, but again, they're limited to the healthcare provider. They don't go across healthcare systems. Whereas if you have access to an EMR that's also shared via interface specification by all other healthcare providers, so you have specialists that can be online. Let's say you're on vacation and you get sick. The healthcare provider that you go to see across the country can also have access to those records because you have access to them.
Yeah, so the point is your records go with you wherever you are.
Exactly, versus a portal where only you have access
Somebody
to
has
that.
to log in, they don't have a password, they don't know what you're, okay, got it. And, you know, one of the things, too, that I thought was interesting when you were doing a follow-up story on this was the looking at the healthcare system now and how this differs. The fact that so many hospitals, you know where I'm going, so many hospitals and facilities are still using fax machines to transfer data. And I, you know, if you thought the fax machine was dead, it's not. So what the hell's going on with that? We gotta get past the fax machine.
Well, the reason I did the article is because I'd seen stories when Apple came out with the health record tool. I saw an article saying, will it kill the fax? And I was like, there's no way it's going to kill the fax because it's so embedded in hospital back office systems. Now, when people think of the fax, they think of a bunch of people standing around a machine waiting for the paper to come out. You know? What do they call that paper? The heat sensitive
facsimile paper.
Anyways, I guess facsimile paper.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's not that. This is server-based facsimile. So we're talking. It's very similar to emails, where you're
this is all back office to back office, though. This is not stuff that people are sharing.
This has nothing to do with patients.
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, with your personal.
You're not getting it to you. It's the hospital connecting to the insurance
company specialist. Your pharmacy. And that's still the way hospitals contact pharmacies, let's say, for example, for prescriptions or the healthcare provider, the insurance provider to okay a payment.
Yeah.
It's just too well embedded in back office systems, and it's very efficient, and it's secure, and it's a known entity.
And it's not. And you talked about it's not going away anytime soon.
Not for years to come. From what the experts I talked to, they said no. It's just if it works. Where to place it.
Well, so this would be something that would basically be different than that, and this is more about relating to the patient and the doctor than about all the background stuff that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah, and some people had speculated that, well, once you have mobility with the EMR, you don't need the fax systems because, like I just said, you can order your prescriptions and whatnot through these interfaces, but it's not gonna take care of the back office needs.
Okay, good. Okay, I think that covers it because, like I say, I wanted to get just sort of a 411 basic explainer as to what Apple's doing. Go for it.
I just want to say this is big stuff because for years, you remember, I was reporting on electronic healthcare records and the push by the U.S. government to force all hospitals and healthcare facilities
and that was
to
a nightmare, right?
I mean, meaningful use, the attestation phases 1, 2, and 3. 3 never even completed before they changed to a new methodology. Yeah. It's been a really difficult time for the healthcare industry in trying to catch up to this. This is kind of fun. This is something that they can really grab onto and make some hay with, especially with reducing complexities in the healthcare record systems. Being able to connect directly to the patient, being able to monitor patient health, being able to transmit prescriptions, that sort of thing. It's between the patient and the healthcare provider. It's a big leap, and I think it's going to make a huge difference in healthcare.
Good.
Overall.
Okay, that explains it then. Okay, so coming to iOS 11.3 at some point soon, right now it's in beta, will be the opportunity for at least some number of Apple users to connect with their healthcare system. These first 12, I'm sure there'll be more, and test this out. And if nothing else, it's a glimpse of the future in terms of mobile and healthcare and mobile healthcare.
Yeah,
exactly. So, Lucas, thanks for the information. I appreciate the explainer. For now, that's a wrap.